Classical music is one of the best things that ever happened to mankind. If you get introduced to it in the right way, it becomes your friend for life. That's a quote from Yo-Yo Ma, who is arguably one of the best cello players to ever live. And that is what I'm here to do today for you guys. I'm hoping to be able to introduce to you the cello and introduce to you classical music. So that way maybe some of you guys could have a friend for life, a brand new friend for life. So according to the Oxford University Press, the cello was invented in northern Italy in the early 15th century. And since then it has evolved to become one of the most popular instruments for string players after the violin. And by string players I mean the actual good strings, none of that guitar or piano. So today I'll be going through how to set up the cello, a little bit of cello anatomy, and then how to play a G major scale. All right. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about the cello anatomy. So cellos are usually carried around in a case like this. I like to use a hard case because it's a little bit more protective, because I like to drop things. And it consists of two main parts, which is the cello itself, which many people refer to as a big violin, and they ask me why my violin is so big. I feed it well. But no, this is actually a cello. So the cello has 4 strings. If I don't drop it. It's got 4 strings, so you've got lowest to highest, moving from, on my direction, right to left. So you start with C, which is this note right here. And then moving to the left, you have D. And then, or no, that's G. You have G. And then you have D. And then A. And the cello can be played either by what I call open strings, which are just the regular notes themselves. But I don't actually say note names. I use finger positions. So instead of saying D, so which would be the second note after C on the open string here, I use 1 because that's where my finger is. All right. And so each cello comes with tuning pegs here and tuning pegs here. These are fine tuning pegs for just like little adjustments, and these are big tuning pegs for whenever your strings are being replaced and you need to really tune them. And then you also have a peg right here, which is going to adjust the height of the cello itself. Because the cello itself, the size of it, this is a 3/4, so that's dependent on hand size, and my hand size is apparently pretty small. So to set up your cello, first you're going to get out your bow. So the bow is what actually makes the sound whenever it glides across the string. And this one here it can be made out of various things from wood to, in my case, this one's carbon fiber. And then the hairs on here are actually horse hairs. And you can get those from a variety of different horses, but I have one of the best ones, which is Arabian horsehair. So they typically start out in this lax position right here, and you're going to want to tighten it by twisting this at the end. And once that's tightened, you're essentially ready to go. And the way that it catches the strings to make them vibrate to produce sound, we rub the bow with rosin, which is a sort of hardened tree sap, which will give it just enough stickiness to catch the strings and make them vibrate. So in order to play the cello, you have to first get into position. So position is you'll be in a seated position with the peg just long enough to where these points right here are on your legs. And the cello is sort of hovering a little bit above your shoulder. And to actually play notes, you want to angle your bow down so it faces this piece of wood here called the bridge. And then according to my book of study, which is Dotzauer, I hold my bow like this, with my fingers kind of draped over and my thumb going for balance right here. So to then play notes, you then either push or pull against the strings, which is a C. And then this is a G. And then with finger positions, I'm going to be teaching you how to play that major scale right here, which is a G major scale. So as you move up, each note right here is a different finger position. So starting off right here, this would be the open string, and then this one would be 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 4. Yeah. So I'm going to demonstrate that to you now. Scales are a very important part of cello. And by mastering scales, you can do stuff like this. So today I hope you've come out of this with a little bit more knowledge on how the cello works. And maybe I've even inspired you to get a new friend, as Yo-Yo Ma says, and pick up the cello for yourself. Thank you.